My narcissistic parents told my golden child brother that he could take my house and I could just live in a camper because I'm single and he has a wife and kids. I'm a single man in my early 30s and my brother is 29 with 4 kids. His wife and I do not get along as she always likes to try and get a rise out of me by acting superior. Then turns into an extreme self-victimizing drama queen if I retaliated against her in any way. She can cry in an instant and can put on an extremely convincing show to get sympathy from just about anyone. My parents and brother absolutely adore her, even though they know exactly how she really is and just don't care. She's very good looking, I'll give her that. But she's so awful that I could never be attracted to her. She also refuses to get any sort of job, even though she has a college degree and my mother willingly helps with the kids all day. So their finances are entirely dependent on my brother. This also means they can't afford to live anywhere but my parents' house. Growing up, my younger brother was also the obvious favorite. He developed a superiority complex because I was badly punished if I retaliated against his antics in any way back then. It was obvious my parents cared for him a lot more because he got the lion's share of everything unless people called them out on it. Which did happen a fair bit by other members of the family, so my parents packed us all up and moved us about 150 miles away from them. My brother got physically abusive towards me on a number of occasions, flirted relentlessly with my first girlfriend to the point she broke up with me, and laughed at any misfortune I had. My parents just told me to suck it up whenever I was upset about it. I only got equal treatment when my parents wanted to keep up appearances. I admit it was rather funny to see the looks on their faces whenever they had to treat me equal to my brother on birthdays and Christmas because other people were present. We had relatives that were very nosy and loved gossiping drama. So my parents did their best to hide what was really going on, and threatened to take all my stuff away if I didn't keep my mouth shut. If anything, it just made my parents celebrate more when I turned 18 and moved out because it meant they no longer had to provide for me. I wasn't even done with high school yet when I moved out. But couch surfing was far better than living with them. I was low contact ever since leaving home. They didn't even show up for my high school graduation, but I really didn't care. From that point on, I would usually only see my parents and brother on holidays like the rest of the family. Then, I ended up losing my job and couldn't afford my condo. Had to sell nearly all of my stuff because I was soon going to be homeless if I didn't downsize to an extreme. But I had a plan. I own a truck, so I found a $1,000 camper in good shape and put it on my truck just so I could live out of it for a while. It was supposed to be temporary, but I ended up living out of it far longer than I ever thought. I originally was hoping to be able to live out of the camper at my parents' house, where my brother and his family still reside as well. But when I asked my parents to let me stay for a while, they told me they had a full house, and didn't want me there unless I paid them exactly what it would cost to rent an apartment in the area. That was way too much just to park my camper. My parents called my camper and I saw and told me to take a hike since we couldn't come to an agreement. My sister-in-law thought it was absolutely hilarious I had to live in a camper. My brother joined her in pointing out and mocking me while calling me a homeless bum. I parked my truck/camper in a store parking lot to sleep on the first night. Finding a stable place to park was pretty difficult and I dealt with a bunch of things, everything from beggars and substance addicts, to people demanding I leave because my camper was an eyesore. When I finally landed a new job after months of searching, I practically lived in the back lot of the building by the warehouse in old employee parking spaces. My boss/company owner actually liked this arrangement because I was willingly available to take any shift I could get, so long as I had enough sleep. I was pretty much on call almost all the time when they needed me, and was working virtually every day of the week. I made a lot of overtime pay, and hands-on learned some new skills from other employees. Eventually, midway into this year, I landed a better position in the company as a supervisor, and started making a better salary than my old job. That's when I decided I wanted a house. The scare I'd gotten from losing my condo made me realize I needed something much more stable for the long term. Away found a 3-bedroom manufactured home on a small property. I managed to get it for $10,000 less than the asking price. I used nearly my entire savings for a down payment and got approved for a home loan. I finally didn't have to live in a camper anymore. You can now check if there is a part 2 by clicking share then more.